Kentucky State Senator Morgan McGarvey won the Democratic primary for Louisville's seat in the U.S. House.
And he hopes to take over for longtime Congressman John Yarmouth, who is retiring. He joins us in the studio this morning. We would like to say congratulations on your victory last night.
Thank you. Thank you. Great to be here.
All right, let's get into it. If you win in November, what do you promise to tackle in Washington, D.C.? What is priority number one?
You know, I think priority number one is doing what we've done, right? Is listening, is building those coalitions, of getting to work. We've got to make sure that people have good health care. We've got to make sure that people have access to good education. Look, right now, look in this country, I hope it's fixed by then, we have an incredible shortage of baby formula. These are problems we can solve, but we're gonna have to get past the divisive and hateful rhetoric we see so much and get down to solving them.
You mentioned the rhetoric. That was going to be my next question. Is it possible to get things done in Washington? Because it has become such a us versus them mentality, it seems. And how do you plan to go about that?
Yeah, I refuse to take a defeatist attitude about it. I've served in Frankfurt for the last 10 years, and you know, Frankfurt's no picnic. So I've been in the minority every day since being in office, and became Democratic leader of the Senate when Matt Bevin was governor, but still have authored and passed 18 bills into law by listening, by being willing to find areas of agreement and commonality where we can make some progress. I'm not saying I'm going to change the world as a freshman member of Congress on day one, but I think we need serious people who are going up there willing to work to solve those problems.
What are you hearing from your constituents? What are their top priorities in D.C. right now?
Yeah, so I've been knocking on doors since December, just went through a legislative session here in Kentucky. I mean, I think people are obviously worried. They're worried about whether they can afford health care. They're worried about whether they're going to get a good education. We're going to have good paying jobs, making sure that people feel safe in their communities. That's understandable. I think most of us feel that way. What I think we need to relay to people is that we're listening, and that we can work to make real progress on solving these problems.
You mentioned the worry about people affording just everyday things. There's also a worry about the federal government and its spending. How do you reconcile those two things, helping people who need help versus not letting federal government spending get completely out of control?
Yeah, I mean, when we talk about inflation, we see it at the pump. Everyone's feeling it right now. But let's recognize that, first of all, we're coming out of an unprecedented pandemic. There's still supply chain issues from that. Then you go into Russia's war on Ukraine and the issues that that's causing. And then you've got to talk about some of the corporate greed that's happening. ExxonMobil posted record profits in its first quarter of this year, while we're still paying a lot more at the pump. So I do think there's things we can do to relieve the effects of inflation, but I think it's a multifaceted approach.
Now, the race was called late last night. Stuart Ray won the Republican primary. Talk about how you can keep this election in November civil while accomplishing what you want to accomplish.
We just came out of primaries, and I tell people this all the time. Primaries, at least on the candidates, are tougher. Mm-hmm. And we saw, I think, both races, in fact, stay really positive. I hope that's the spirit that goes into the general, because I think that's what people want to see. It's what we want to be involved in.
All right. Thank you so much for your time this morning. We appreciate it. Want to point out that we've also extended an invitation to Stuart Ray to be on our program as well. That race was called very late last night.
Right.
So we're waiting to hear from his campaign about when he might be able to come on the program. But we thank you for coming to share your views, and congratulations again.
Thanks for having me.
Very much appreciate your time.